Alright. Dear Esther, Landmark Edition. This game has been sitting around in my Steam library since I was a kid. Never touched it. I can't even remember, did I buy it? Did I get it free with something? I don't know. But it's supposed to be good. It's just... yeah, we want subtitles on. Crosshair, I don't think there's any shooting in this game. I wonder how many buttons are there. Not many, not many. English. Yeah, well, seems we're good. It should only be about 2 hours, I think. Or even shorter than that, I don't know. Let's go. Director's commentary would be nice, but not for the first playthrough.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Goodness, okay. Is this me getting washed ashore? Or... oh, he turns his torch on. Gross, okay. I don't know why in games whenever I go into a bathroom I always look inside the toilet. It's just something I feel I have to do. I have to know. Alright, what? What's this? C2H 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's an OH. I don't remember my chemistry. So it's kind of abandoned. The lighthouse. Let's check out the lighthouse. Can't access it. We have a boat. Guess there's no running in this game. I don't think they wanted you to run. It's a really nice sky. Ooh. There's a beacon in the distance. I could have gone down there. There's a path there.
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Okay. I cannot go through there, okay. It's really dark, and for some reason I'm not turning my torch on. Paint bucket. I don't see any paint being used. Can I get across this? Oh! Okay, let's go on the beach now. What is that? Probably don't want to know. The things people throw in the sea. Fish could get caught in these turtles.
At night, you can see the lights sometimes from a passing tanker or trawler. From up on the cliffs, they are mundane. But down here, they fugue into ambiguity. For instance, I cannot readily tell if they belong above or below the waves. The distinction now seems banal. Why not everything and all at once? There's nothing better to do here than indulge in contradictions whilst waiting for the fabric of life to unravel.
Alright. The steps there. What is this? It looks like the perfect spiral. Fibonacci, whatever. Illuminati symbols. There's an arrow here.
I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
There are no gulls here? Why? Right, I'm in the water. Should I be? I don't think I want to be. Let's go back. Is that like a... Alright, I'm kind of stuck. No. So. Okay, well, maybe he's drawing a map. It's a bit too perfect, a spiral to be a map. I heard something. What's that? Nothing, it's just trick of the light. Okay. I like these wind effects. I feel tired in real life just climbing these steps. Let's head for the beacon. Beacon of Hope. They probably have hope for us.
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then? When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
What? I'm still trying to figure this out. Am I playing the role of the person who's speaking? Okay, we've got a little Stonehenge down there.
They were God-fearing people, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions?
Oop. Little shortcut there. Speedrun strat. Water graphics. That's pretty cool. The water does look like it's flowing downhill.
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish, the sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer, that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and rib cage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Okay. Oh, I love this wind. The most realistic wind I've ever felt in a game. feel cold. If I go down here, can I...
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Interesting. Oh. We have a ship. Can I get on board? Any supplies? There must be stuff in these boxes.
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the buoy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's little point now in continuation. There must be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to. I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats and watched them go to water.
What is that? Something neither did he eat nor drink. Something neither did he eat nor drink. There's quite a sky. don't think I'm meant to go here. Okay. Why do they have this path? Very well. Oh, this is where I came from. I've lost my bearings. Yeah, because I went this way. Alright, let's try going to the right then.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
What charnel house lies at the foot of this abyss? How many dead shepherds could fill this hole?
Oh my god.
Come back.
Wait, what? He's built a fence around it now. No. That doesn't count for death. He pulled me back.
I've begun my ascent on the windless slope of the western side. The setting sun, with an inflamed eye squeezing shut against the light shone in by the doctors. My neck is aching through constantly craning my head up to track the light of the aerial. I must look downwards, follow the path under the island to a new beginning. The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. lamps ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but used the moonlight to read by. When I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
Get down, or should I take the gentle way down?
He left his body to the medical school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. Enough definition remained for a cursory examination, and, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney stones. He's likely to have spent the last years of his life in considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable witness, I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
He likes talking about kidney stones and infections, doesn't he?
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Okay. Oh.
Donnelly's addiction is my one true constant. Even though I wake in false dawns and find the landscape changing, flowing inconstantly through my tears, I know his reaching is always upon me. There is no other direction, no other exit from this motorway. Speeding past this junction, I saw you waiting at the roadside, of one last drink in your trembled hands.
Okay. Where did I come from? There. Let's go this way. I'm crouching. Whoa. Oh, that's pretty cool. Don't think I can get across without falling in. Not to slip. Oh, I'm back up here. I jumped down and I climbed up. Are these markings on the walls?
In my final dream,
Wow.
I sat at peace with Jakobsen and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder, the world gone to weed and redemption. He showed me his fever scars, and I mine, between each shoulder the nascency of flight.
Crystals. No, the water's flowing the other way. Ooh, I can move faster in this water. I think. Nice reflections. Can't go in there. What is this? It's a circuit diagram. That's like ground. Those are American style resistors. Don't know what that is.
This is a drowned man's face, reflected in the moonlit waters. It can only be a dead shepherd who has come to drunk drive you home.
That looks deep. I don't want to go in there. Behold, Damascus is taken. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is the cave of a madman. Damascus. Damascus is taken. What? What? No, it cannot be. Away from being the city. And it shall be a ruinous heap. Whoa. Don't know if I have oxygen meter or anything. Whoa. Huh? Hospital bed? Why? We can go up. What? What was that? Out of the caves. Wow.
I wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight? We shall begin to assemble our own version of the North Shore. We will scrawl in dead languages and electrical diagrams and hide them away for future theologians to muse and mumble over. We will send a letter to Esther Donnelly and demand her answer. We will mix the paint with ashes and tarmac and the glow from our infections. We will paint a moon over the Sanford Junction and blue lights falling like stars along the hard shoulder.
Who's that? car. Is this whole island just something that flashed through this man's mind as he experienced a car crash?
There were chemical stains on the tarmac, the leak of air conditioning, brake fluid and petrol. He kept sniffing at his fingers as he sat by the roadside, waiting as if he couldn't quite understand or recognize their smell. He said he'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter. He'd stopped for farewell drinks earlier, but had kept a careful eye on his intake. You could hear the sirens above the idling traffic.
Light from heaven shone around him. Light from heaven shone around him.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
On a sudden, a light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. On a sudden? Is that what that says? On a sudden. This looks very similar to the start of the game.
Come back.
Okay, let's not go there. Can we make it up to that? Lighthouse. It's not too far.
A sound of torn metal, teeth running over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal as I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, all my mind as a bypass.
So many references to cars. Still feel like he's experiencing some sort of car crash.
begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Hang on. I definitely saw something here. It's gone. Wasn't there a statue here? Where was I standing? I was standing in there. There was a statue for sure. And as he was proceeding on his journey, it's come near to Damascus. And
if only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
So he was 3 days without sight, and neither did he eat nor drink. Saw that one before. It's nighttime now. Didn't even notice that the time of day has been changing.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight.
Okay. And it came to pass that as I made my journey, and something. Oh my god.
Come back.
Fell off. Journey. And come. Can't read it at all. There's one cool moon. from heaven, light round about me and could not see. None of this means anything. For the
with panic, death with the
glory.
caged traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus. Paul sat at the roadside, hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull. As useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goat herd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
What? Man, I feel cold. Came. Damascus. Alright, this is the beacon.
We will leave twin vapor trails in the air, white lines etched into these rocks. Dear Esther,
I don't have
I
control.
have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
Wait, what's he doing? No! I'm a bird now. To the moon. Okay. Um, well, I've finally played it. One of the oldest games I've had on Steam that I haven't touched yet, if not the oldest. I don't know what to make of that. But the caves were really cool. I really like the caves. Jonathan Blow, isn't he the guy behind Braid? Yeah. I mean, it was a nice experience. Would I recommend it? Not really, no. But I did like the caves at the very least, so that whole chapter was cool. But the narrative didn't make any sense to me. It was lost on me, I'm afraid. Is there no music for the credits? Okay. Well, it was just sounded like a guy who was having a fever and just saying random stuff that was coming to mind, mostly involving a car, syphilis, and various infections. And Donnelly. And who is Esther? Okay. That is Dear Esther, Landmark Edition. You can also play it with the director's commentary, which I'm not going to do now. Maybe in the future if I feel like playing this game again. Then that's a very much a maybe, but it's 4 chapters. Well, at any rate, I'm glad I finally played it.